the bigger challenge in many ways is to sort of do it in a way that feels organic, real, while being insanely funny, hopefully, and also deep in some ways that get to some core thing that, reminding about sort of either the loneliness at the center of the show or the deeper themes within our show, and all having it feel fairly effortless in its execution.
I'm sure that you are no stranger to hearing, I love Only Murders in the Building.
Thank you. I will never feel a stranger to that. And I'm also will never tire of it. It makes me so happy. I don't give it any expectation. It's a very particular thing, and very happy to hear that.
And congratulations on Emmy nominations, which is for the second year in a row. You've been nominated for the show as well as for writing an episode. But this time it's for the finale of season 2, which has to feel like, I guess I did a good job of wrapping up that mystery. I guess I I satisfied the viewers. How does it feel for you?
It's very gratifying. I feel incredibly honored. It's quite something to be singled out that way, and I'm sure all the other nominees feel that way, and it, you never know, and there's so many brilliant things being done on television these days that to be in that conversation is incredible. This one particularly feels very sweet, and I when you were saying that, I was like, it's not it's a we. We're very much a we with my brilliant co-writers on this one, Rob Turbowski and Matteo Borghese, and beyond that, our whole room is always in on the finales. Mm-hmm. And Dan Fogelman is deep in on all the finales. And this was very much the case in this one. So a big group effort to pull together not just one, but 2 seasons really, mm-hmm. in this episode that sort of unspools in this very rapid fire way, but hopefully balancing that thing that the show does, which is, these insane comedic leaps of, someone's afraid of the inside of a tomato in slow motion, and how to manage that with twisting enough so that the audience is not ahead of us, and letting it come out in a way that feels still pinging on all the right levels of revelation.
Which it absolutely did. I love the way that you guys incorporated all the callbacks. And it made me feel like, I know that writers have some kind of board, but it feels like you guys have like the same murder board where you're like pulling off all the different suspects that you can use, all the different clues that you have dropped. How do you keep track of everything that has happened to lead to what must be the inevitable conclusion, to make sure, people online aren't like, hey, there's no way that could have happened?
It might drive some other people within the sphere of the show making for them a little bit crazy, but for me, there's a little bit of an organic quality to that memory of what we have to accomplish and do. And I'll be making the little lists in my head of like this. These are the hanging chads of this season of mystery that we have to make sure we touch and find ways to reveal and be clever about as we go along throughout everything in the process of building a season. So I'm not so, and then we have our other parts of our room that is deeply tied into, and I'm sort of guiding like, okay, let's not forget these. The not to forget list is very big in our room. But it's a dance. And, the other part of it is the bigger challenge in many ways is to sort of do it in a way that feels organic, real, while being insanely funny, hopefully, and also deep in some ways that get to some core thing that, reminding about sort of either the loneliness at the center of the show or the deeper themes within our show, and all having it feel fairly effortless in its execution. So that's a big little bit of a magic trick I try and sort of guide in a way all the way through from beginning to end. And that goes to, and I have to say in this moment, please, just that I'm joining you as a producer and knowing that the thrill of working in that episode in particular and across the season on our show entirely, we are a show very much in salute of our actors and writers. And we stand in full solidarity in this moment for fairness for all of them at this time. So my thoughts are everywhere around that in this moment, just to say.
Absolutely. As you should. I am right there with you in support of the writers, the actors, who all work so hard to create wonderful shows like this one. Now, one such actor of course, is Adina as Poppy. I know I know that you had mentioned kind of like creating the character for her, that you guys were like, we need to have her on the show. We've made this character and now she's the killer. Are you ever, as a producer, at war with yourself when it comes to picking a killer? Because then they kind of have to leave after that.
Yeah.
How do you manage that?
It goes across the board. It's either a victim or a killer, particularly. And that, Amy Ryan, I feel so honored to work with Amy Ryan, and she's the loveliest and the best. And then you have this awful thing of like, wait a minute, I want to have more for Pacheet now. And Jane Howdyshell is one of my dearest friends playing Bunny. And I remember the conversation with her, and I said, well, guess what? I hate to tell you where we're going at the end of season 1, but on the good part, you're going to be used a lot in season 2. But it is the nature of the show. And certainly with Adina, it was, she was part of the fabric in this way that we very specifically drew. And it all came in this situation from her very first audition. And she was auditioning for Cinda Canning when we thought Tina Fey was going to be too much of a reach, and she always was. But God love Tina Fey. She comes and says yes and is absolutely brilliant. But we knew we needed a place for Adina, and Poppy just felt very right. And what she did with the part informed where we felt and were inclined to go within our season 1, season 2 arc. And then the whole notion of making her the reveal is that she is the subject of the podcast that drew our trio together in the very, very first episode of season 1.
Getting the answer to the mystery of the original podcast was just mastermind thinking, big brain behavior.
No, in big group efforts, that is all we have in our heads, and the burden on us every season as we continue working on this amazing show.
Other big brain behavior that you guys do is seeding the next season into the previous finale. So I know who did it. At the end of that episode, we have Oliver's lead actor just collapsing on stage, bless his heart. How did you guys already know the double fake out that was going to happen in the premiere at that point? Or is that just what you like it's that kind of like put a pin in it, we're going to come back to this, we're going to figure this out next time?
It's a perfect question, by the way. I love it because yes, there's definite pins is a perfect way to put it too. Putting pins in things is big, and there are things in which we have expanded in our minds and thought, okay, where do we want to go? What do we want to do? All of that. We get big on those thoughts before we, go towards the end of a season, and we try and seed through like some expectation or lean into it. We certainly knew we wanted to lean into Oliver in season 3 and his world of the theater. So we knew that. But no, there were elements about season 3 and the first episode and the twists that would come there that we had to sort of have in our back pockets a little bit, and then really pull them out once we knew particular things like the nature of availability that Paul Rudd and his interest in wanting to do more with us in season 3, which was a big ask. We asked him to come for one day at the end of season 2 and say, now take a good 8 months to do whatever else you need to do, then come back to us.
And now you're ours.
You want to come back for us. And so again, this is the dream of this show is having the most extraordinary people say, let's play. And I'd like to do not a small amount sometimes. And that was the case here, and is with Meryl as well.
Oh my gosh. So, the fact that you have Meryl now, like no one can be a dream now that you have Meryl, like everyone's going to say yes.
I hope.
So what is that experience like? I mean, it must be surreal to get to direct Meryl Streep, and like, kind of guide her through her arc. What is she teaching you? I think that's the real question.
When you're working with someone like that you feel the history of the years and everything else. What's beautiful is that you've got that in your head, and she pops that bubble very quickly and takes it right to just what's here. And there's a vulnerability in the question she asks. And she would be the first person to say, I'm a girl from Jersey. She's not this grand person, and it's an essential thing I'm sure she has to do to get the kind of work she's doing done. But it's a surprise and a beautiful one. So that felt very generous and very it put me at great ease. And then it was just about, oh, I'm working with an actress who's wanting the right answers that she can grasp onto. And that I love to be the person who answers the questions in this show. I have a bit of an encyclopedic mind on that and the way it should feel and execute and what the history is and all of that as much as possible. Then there's other times that I'm like, I don't know is the answer. But I'll happily say that as well, because, look, I can't know everything. But then you have this thing of like this openness from these incredible people who say, oh, well, what if? And then you're in collaboration with people that are extraordinary. So it's that and 1,000 times more. I was dazzled over and over again in season 3 with her.
Speaking of collaboration, though, all 3 of your lead actors are also executive producers. How hands-on is that? What is that collaboration like? Where do they give input?
It's very intense and fantastic. And when I say intense, I don't mean that in the way that like, they're hovering. But we have now a language between us just in a daily way that feels very familial, but feels very integral to the collaboration. So knowing that, like, I'm going to them saying, does this feel okay? This is what we're thinking, blah, blah, blah. And then to get back, I love. And then, but I think what they would do next. So they know their characters now in a way that feels very much like we're all of a piece. And that's beautiful now. So, but then it's a matter of walking them through their whole arcs of the season and feeling that excitement or adjustments that we want to make here and there. It's fabulous. Fabulous. They're great.
I love that because it does feel very organic to the characters. I think a lot of times you might watch a show and be like, I don't think that my fave would do that, but I don't feel that way here. And I feel like Selena said that she wants to do that. So I guess that's.
I guarantee you. And it really, it's beautiful to watch that barometer go off because they're to a person. The 3 of them are the kindest, most generous, and really, I honestly mean this. They are the loveliest collaborators. And so there's no ego involved in those moments. It feels very pure. And it feels like, when they come to me in that moment of like, this moment, are we sure? Like, and I know to listen because it's coming from this place of, good call. Yes, I didn't see it that way. Oh, what if we do this? And we find our other way around it. It's beautiful.
I always think of the theater when I think of Martin Short, possibly because of Get Out, where he was like a crazy theater director. And now I'm seeing that come to life on this show. What is it like for you to really bring Broadway into the story? Because seasons 1 and 2 had the hints of it, but this is like, we're full on now.
We are. And it made perfect sense to me for the story we're telling in Only the Murders in the Building. We have one of our trio is so deeply tied in, and to go in this direction felt like a way to freshen up the show. But it had to be within the context of our show first. It couldn't sway into, we're on a whole different planet with the show and the themes and everything else. But more importantly, just personally for me, I'm a kid of the theater. That's where I started, and I love everything about the New York theater world and keep ties into that and have for many, many years. And that was a thrill for me. But then the collaborators that came along, I mean, in season 3 to have the virtuoso team led by Justin Paul and Benj Pasek composing music for our season, and then them bringing along Sarah Bareilles, Mark Shaman, and Scott Whitman, and Michael R. Jackson. Wait till you see. It's just extraordinary what's coming. And to be able to sort of do that with actors, all who know the stage very well. And so what a landscape to swim in and keep it though in the context of our show. So we're not too over our skis, but it's thrilling for me to sort of play in that arena.
And it's thrilling for me to watch. And then
Oh, good. I'm so glad.
finally, how many more Emmy years do you plan to be around for? Oh, what is your vision?
As many as they'll have us for. I really mean it. This is one of those shows, this job, everyone involved in it is so happy doing it. And I know I speak for the trio and everyone else. It's hard when you have lightning in a bottle in this way, and then there's this magnetizing force of incredible talent who say, wow, that looks like fun. I would love to be a part of that. I hope it gives it a good long life. I think sometimes I do recognize a certain question that comes with the premise.
Everyone in the building will be gone except for them.
Well, I mean, I hope season 3 points to, and I have many other ideas for how to sort of like, if anything, my banner over this whole show, when you look at the poster right from season 1 and you see Steve Martin Marchort and Selena Gomez, is unexpected. And so that I think holds a lot under it that could have it for a long life. Who knows, though? I genuinely don't know.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful to talk to you.
Really great talking to you.
Thank you. Have a great day.